playing our song. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Here's my heart. Here's my heart. Here's my life. Here's my brotherhood, my sisterhood. Here we are together. Happy Holy Thursday. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. I am found. I am yours. I am loved. I'm made pure. I have life. I can breathe. I am healed. I am free. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Welcome, everyone. Let's take a nice deep breath together. As we exhale, we put our hands on our heart. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your heartbeat. Extend your heartbeat to me and to one another, to all our brothers and sisters on this path. People we love, people we don't love. They're all on the path with us. We're all headed in the same direction, and we take different journeys. We move in different rhythms, different times, different generations, different places. And yet we are all seekers of peace. We are all calling for love and for peace and for kindness, regardless of how it looks on the outside. We all have the same desire on the inside, which is to rise higher, forgive steadily, love readily, and to be at peace. And as we move into the end of this year, we make a vow to continue rising higher, to continue using our eyes as ways to see the light in one another. Brothers and sisters, we join together today and every day from this day forward on this very sacred path, on this very sacred journey. So we end this year with gratitude and in awe for what is to come. Let's take another nice deep breath together and exhale into this moment, into this very sacred moment. So welcome. Welcome. It's Happy Holy Thursday for me. I don't know when you'll be listening. You can listen anytime. Take me with you wherever you go throughout this holiday season, through the season of love and light, moving us into a new year, 2023. Wow, moving into 2023. This is our last broadcast for 2022, Miracles with a Twist, giving us a finale together. We're wrapping up with Song of Prayer. Song of Prayer is divided into 3 parts, and today we're going to look at the third part, which is on healing. Now, before I read the section that I've chosen for you, I wanted to just talk about the fact that we talk about healing a lot. We talk about it when we look at the text, when we look at the lessons, when we look at the manual for teachers. We talk about healing from a course perspective. And yet there is often some confusion around what healing really means if we are focused and concentrated on healing as being that of the body. Because at the same time, the Course is telling us we are not bodies. I am not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. Well, how did God create me? God created me as being part of this sonship, what is called the sonship, the sisterhood, the unity of humanity, which is of all time, of all places, and beyond this space, beyond this body, beyond this time and space. It is the mind that is joined of higher consciousness. And so when we speak about healing, while we have a deep desire for our friends and loved ones who are suffering to be healed of the body, that's not always the end result of our prayers or our desires, because it's beyond our understanding what goes on with any of our bodies. So we want to end this section with an understanding of the true, ultimate, endless healing, which is of the mind. The mind, not the brain, the mind. The mind that we speak of is the mind that is one mind, one unified mind, consciousness, a consciousness beyond this earth experience and this timeline. So I happened to come across some stories lately that, spiritual synchronicity, they crossed my path as I was thinking about healing, because there are people in my life that were not healed this year, people who died of disease, people who are currently dying or dealing with disease. Also, we had some sudden shocking deaths that we had to deal with this year. And so it's been a constant and continuous challenge to look at the healing of our minds, which is the healing of our hearts. Now, our heart healing is the healing that occurs within us while we are in our bodies, right? That we have this overwhelming understanding of what peace really is, what love really is, what it really means to love. And we can do that within our hearts, within this time, within our lifetime. But the healing of our mind is beyond this lifetime. And that's sometimes hard to accept or hard to understand. So these few interviews I came across recently helped me put it a little bit more into words. So there was one I came across by Reverend Rick Warren. That name might be a little bit familiar to you. Years ago, he wrote a book called The Purpose-Driven Life, and that was a very popular book. And it so happens that his son committed suicide. And the interview was several years old that I listened to. And it was all about his relationship with his son, that he said it was a really wonderful relationship. But the thing that he said was he had a good heart, but a broken brain. A good heart, but a broken brain. What does that mean? That means that regardless of how good our intentions, how deeply dedicated we are to our path and to our desire to be good and to be kind and to be compassionate, sometimes our brains don't always cooperate. There are people who have chemical imbalances. In this case, his son suffered from a very severe depression. I don't know if there was another mental illness. I don't know about that. We just recently heard about a celebrity dancer, Twitch. Some of you may know that name, who committed suicide. And then within our own spiritual family, we had a very beloved friend and student and companion who died of a drug overdose. Very dedicated to the spiritual path, very full of love, very full of compassion. And yet her brain was the brain of an addict. A broken brain, good hearts, broken brains. That is still not what we are referring to. We are referring to the healing of the mind, where we are referring to that which continues and continues beyond any of those experiences, any of that beautiful brokenness that some people suffer while on this earth, beautifully broken, haphazardly healing. Yes. So the true healing that we are looking for is the healing of the mind. And the Course tells us that it's possible to have a healed mind while we are in this body, while we are in this time and space. And so the Song of Prayer sort of brings us home to that understanding by letting us know, in no uncertain terms, that it's not about living life. It's about living beyond this life as we understand it. So the healed mind is considered to be a very holy mind, because a healed mind is not attached to this world. It doesn't mean we want to die. It doesn't mean you want to die. It doesn't mean that anyone who has finally reached that level of deep understanding, whether it's through years of meditation or spiritual practice or just an amazing shift in consciousness, that you were able to truly rise to a place of seeing everyone through loving light, through a consistent state of forgiveness. If we can get to that beyond just a moment, then the Course says we are holy indeed, in a state of healing, in a state of having been healed. And let's see what how it's worded here. Worded better than me, I'm sure. The other interview I came across was a singer by the name of Toby Mac. Some of you might know him. He's a Christian singer. He's got some great music. You can look for him on YouTube, Toby Mac. And his son died of a drug overdose. And he talks about and sings about the healing that he and his wife are going through in dealing with that. Again, good heart, broken brain. It says here, how holy are the healed, for in their sight, their brothers share their healing and their love. First we forgive, then pray, and then we are healed. Our prayer is risen up and called to God, who hears and answers. You have understood that you forgive and pray for yourself. No matter who you think you're praying for, no matter what forgiveness you think you're extending, it's all being brought back to yourself because it's coming from yourself. And with this understanding, you are healed. And so with this understanding, we've moved beyond the earth-framed definition of forgiveness and beyond the earth-framed definition of what healing really is. And so since we've suffered so much loss this year around death and dying, I thought that it was quite comforting to read what the Song of Prayer says about true healing. So I want to read that to you. It says, there is a kind of seeming death. Seeming death. There is a kind of seeming death that is a different source, different from the earth worldly concept. It does not come because of hurtful thoughts or raging anger at the universe. It merely signifies that the end has come for usefulness of this body's functioning. This is what death should be, a quiet choice made joyfully and with a sense of peace, because the body has been kindly used to help the Son of God along the way he goes to God. We thank the body for the services it has given us, and we are thankful that the need is done to walk the world of limits. So now to reach Christ in hidden forms and clearly seen as most lovely. Now we can behold him without blinders in the light that we have learned to look upon again. We call it death, but it is liberty. It does not come in forms that seem to be thrust down in pain upon unwilling flesh, but as a gentle welcome of release. If there has been true healing, this can be the form in which death comes, and when it is time to rest a while from labor gladly done and gladly ended. We go now in peace to free air, gentler climates, where it is not hard to see the gifts we gave and which were saved for us. For Christ is clear now. Our vision has been sustained, and his voice, more certainly now, our own. Our own voice has become the voice of Christ's consciousness. And so this is our task. This is what we are rising to within this life. Does that mean that we're going to drop dead the minute we have a holy instant of recognizing the truth of ourselves and others? No, but it does mean that we can sustain, it's telling us that we can sustain in this life a healed mind, a healed mind, even with a broken brain, even with a broken heart, even with an expanded heart, even with an expanded brain, regardless of those particularities, we can have a healed mind. We can see each other with eyes of loving compassion. We can see our brother, our sister in that other circumstance and that other cry for love. And, you know, we've been talking a lot this whole year about how do we define forgiveness for ourselves, within ourselves, because no matter what we're doing, no matter how we're doing it, no matter what we see out there, no matter how we define what's out there, we have to look within. We have to be rigorously honest with ourselves. We have to look at how have I contributed to anything that is unlike love. And so we work on the expansion of our hearts, because whatever time we have in this time and space, then that's the time we have to work on our hearts and to keep our hearts full of kindness and love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness. And coming back to ourselves, we can look in the mirror and say, okay, I know what you're up to. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're feeling. And let me be more purified in those thoughts, more purified in my actions. In the song we sing, here's my heart, Lord, we say, I am found, I am loved, I am pure, I am purified. The Course says that miracles come at the heels of purification. Doesn't use the word heals, but as we purify our minds, we become miracles ourselves and miracle workers. Not like, you know, walking the streets, putting our hands on people, but walking the streets, extending our love to people, seeing with eyes of love, seeing with eyes of compassion, looking at each other as brothers and sisters. That's the healing that we're looking for. That's what we are striving for. And, you know, there was a time when there was no social media. There was no one watching us. There was no one to talk to. There weren't views and subscribers. There was nothing like that. There was just us. There was just us. And I think about Bill Thetford, his humble self, when he would go to workshops to listen to other people teach A Course in Miracles, and they'd be all intimidated because Bill Thetford's in the room. But he didn't want to teach. He wanted to continuously be a student. He wanted to always be practicing in his humble way. And so his name has lived on, but he wasn't looking for fame. He wasn't looking for glory. He was just looking to do what he was told to do. He was looking to get his heart and his mind and his brain in sync with the Course material, with any mystic path material, with the Sufi material, with the Taoist, the Kabbalah, all of the mystic teachings that tell us that we are part of a divine beam of light consciousness. And that as long as we stay in that alignment, we will have healed minds that will allow us to have extended hearts of love and compassion and kindness. And if that's what we do, if that's all we do, and no one even has to know. There's this great little cartoon that my friend Reverend Grace Telesco sent me yesterday. It was a little boy playing a song for a little cat. And it was just the boy and the cat. And it said something like, you know, it doesn't matter how many people are receiving your gifts. It can be just that one. It could just be that one act of kindness that makes a world of difference to another person. That one opportunity you have to shift the way you look at someone. And instead of looking at them with judgment, that you look at them with compassion and love, because you're borrowing Christ's eyes. You're not just asking Christ to look through you. You're asking to look even higher into the eyes of Christ consciousness that has no way of seeing us other than with eyes of love. That's the only way we are seen, when we are seen from above. It's not about our limited idea of how life should be or how people should be. It's about an unlimited opportunity to see with eyes of love and to feel our hearts expand, that heartbeat. I ask you to put your hand on your heart and feel your heartbeat, and to realize that this is everyone else's heartbeat. There's no one who wants anything less than what you want. Everyone wants peace. Everyone wants love. So we put our hands on our hearts. Imagine being so annoyed by someone or something, some circumstance, some issue, and you just stop and put your hand on your heart and you feel your heartbeat, and you share that heartbeat with that other. And you imagine that other as a child, just waiting to be loved, wanting to be loved. And imagine yourself as a child, waiting to be loved and wanting to be loved. Even if it's just you and one stranger who needs an act of kindness, like that little boy playing an instrument for the little cat. It's that unity in that moment of suspension of time and space, and just being connected with a vibe of love. Hey, that's a reminder. Let me see what this says. I have I've said this many times, that I have an alarm that goes off throughout the day, and it goes off 10 times. It starts at 10:30 in the morning, and it goes off every hour until 7:30 at night. And it always says something else. And this one says, I rest in God. And that's from lesson 109 in A Course in Miracles. I rest in God. Wow, how timely was that? I didn't plan it, but how timely is that to be able to say that any time that you're disrupted or agitated or irritated by something or someone, that you can just put your hand on your heart and say, in this moment, I'm just going to rest in God. And if I rest in God, I rest in a sense of calm, a sense of willingness to expand my heart, a moment to take that broken brain and have an internal correction. So the broken brain might say, oh, I'm angry, I'm hateful, I'm judging. But I rest in God. And when I rest in God, I have an opportunity to make a correction, to make a gentle correction of myself, to say, instead of anger, I'm going to remember that you are beloved. And even further, you are my beloved. Even if it's just for a flash. And even if it's just for a moment in time. And so we ask ourselves, what am I willing to do? It's a new year coming. It's a new year coming. And what am I willing to do to heal the part of my brain that thinks it can be better than anyone else or be a judge of anyone else? What can I do? How can we make a commitment together to move into this new year, not thinking about our brains, but thinking about our minds, thinking about the mind that is joined with everyone else? Because if I were to do, or you were to do some energy work, and somebody was going to come over your chakra system with a pendulum or crystals of some sort, and we're laying next to each other and we're different. Our energy is different. Your energy might be very wide open at the solar plexus, and mine might be all shut down. And, and then we get to our hearts and they might be different. We get to our throats, we get to our third eye. But guess what? When we get beyond the crown chakra, it's all the same. It's all the same. And it's hard to think that way sometimes. You say, well, Mother Teresa and Charles Manson, yes, above the earthly experience, above this time and space, when we share space and our minds in the place of God's source energy, it's all the same. Take a deep breath on that one. We are all the same when it comes to that place of unified mind, because when we leave these bodies, we're still going to have that consciousness moving beyond into a place of unity, into a place of true understanding. I once saw a scene in Tennessee Williams. What was the play? I can't bring it to mind right now, but this woman and her mother-in-law have passed away, and they are in the spirit world looking at the woman's husband, the other lady's son. And he's crying. He's like at their graves, and he's so tormented in his heart. He's just crying and sputtering his pain. And they're looking at him, and they look at each other and they say, oh, he doesn't understand. That's a tough one, right? And I've shed plenty of tears this year over people who have passed away. And I understand that pain, that those tears are for me and for the other people who are suffering the absence, because I know that our loved ones have indeed moved into a unified space, a unified mind, a place of love and peace. So we just do the best we can while we're here. So I have a little confession. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue Miracles with a Twist into 2023. And so I've discussed it with a number of people. I've been doing it for 7 years, 14 years as a Course in Miracles, 7 years as Miracles with a Twist, and then 30 years as a student. So I was like, do I have anything else to say? You know, I was like, haven't I said it all, or haven't I said the same thing over and over again? And I spoke to my co-counseling spiritual director, friend, and co-founder of Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary, Reverend Grace Telesco. And we often will call each other and say, put on your spiritual director's hat, and we'll have a little conversation about something. And so I was telling her, I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue. And she told me this wonderful story. And it was about the loaves and the fishes. We all know that story, right? But here it is, more daily, modern time. Dallas Jenkins, who's the creator of The Chosen, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but The Chosen is a series that is on a free app. You can actually download an app called The Chosen. And what he's done is he's recreated his version of gospel stories, Christian gospel stories. And he calls his production company 5 and 2. Why? Because he had to do crowdfunding to get his project off the ground. Nobody was supporting him. He was having a really hard time being taken seriously. And he thought about the story about the loaves and the fishes. And his wife had a dream or a vision, I'm not sure exactly, this is like third-hand information, about the fact that God told her that I do impossible math. I do impossible math, like the time of the loaves and the fishes. And the story of the loaves and the fishes is that Jesus and his friends showed up to give a talk, and they had 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish. And many, many more people, thousands of people showed up, many more than they ever expected. And so they just started giving out the food, and there was plenty. There was plenty, just like the oil for the Maccabees during the time of Hanukkah. So the miracle is, if you show up with what you've got, God will do the rest. So if all you have is a little bit left in you, just show up with that. And God will do the rest. God will give you the energy. God will give you the guidance, the direction, the support you need. So just show up with what you got. Whatever you need to do this year, show up with your 5 loaves and your 2 fishes. If that's a sense of, oh, I can't go on anymore, or I'm losing my patience, or I'm losing my faith, whatever it is, show up with your 5 loaves and your 2 fishes. God will do the rest. And I think you'll be surprised at how much peace you'll feel when you surrender to the knowing that as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you're on the right path. You're on sacred ground. You are holy, you are divine. And so my answer is yes, too. I will continue with Miracles with a Twist. We'll continue with this format. I'm not tired of it. I'm not exhausted, and I haven't run out of anything to say. So let's continue together. With whatever it is we've got, we'll show up with that. So I want to end with this. And this is also from the Song of Prayer. It's the very, very last paragraph. It says, so now return your holy voice to me. The song of prayer is silent without you. The universe is waiting your release because it is its own. Be kind to the universe, be kind to yourself. I ask this, that you be comforted and live no more in terror or in pain, and do not abandon love. Remember this, whatever you may think about yourself, whatever you may think about the world, God's love needs you. Love needs you, and will call you, and will call you, and will call you until you come home. I want to say amen at that moment, but something else just came to me. It's this beautiful song by CeCe Winans. And there's this line where she says, God's love is running, it's running after me. It's running after me. I love that idea that no matter where we go, no matter what we do, love is all around us. Whether it's running after us or whether it's waiting patiently for us, it's all around us because we are needed. You are needed. Your love is needed. Your 5 loaves and your 2 fish are needed. So let's enter into this new year together, ready to continue rising higher, praying harder, forgiving steadily, and loving readily. So I look forward to seeing you in 2022. The next broadcast will drop on January 5th. And guess what? If you're local, you can come and join me out on the beach, because on January 5th is the next full moon gathering at Lauderdale by the Sea. So if you're on my WhatsApp daily text, you'll get a reminder. If you're on my newsletter list, you'll get a reminder. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll get a reminder. So lots of ways to keep in touch. Lots of ways to remember who you are. You are love, you are divine, you are glorious, you are the light, you bring the light is in you. So thank you for being on this journey with me throughout 2022. Let's heal our minds together. Much love, compassion, and namaste. Remember that every week when I come to you, whether you're listening to me on a Thursday or any other day, that we are connected. We are brothers and sisters. We are kindred spirits. We are mighty companions. And I know what you're capable of. What your capacity is to heal your mind so that you can be the healer, the savior of this world. Sound like a big task? The world is whatever's in front of you, whatever's right there for you. Just bring your 5 loaves and your 2 fishes and you'll be fine. Namaste.